Okay, so here's how I'm gonna lap them. So now that I've got all the dowel pins out of the way, I can get this lapping compound that I have over in my toolbox. But this basically this Permatex lapping compound that you use. I actually use it to lap my valves when I decide to do a head rebuild. Basically what I can do is I can put the lapping compound all around here, and then I can just kind of gently just rub these back and forth, right, and get a nice ground down surface. All right, so it actually should work pretty well for me once I get to that point. So I'm hoping I'll have my tripod and I can kind of walk through that process of how I actually lap the two crankcase halves together. But at this point, the point of these last couple of clips is get the dowel pins out of the way. What's that? What does that traverse look like? And whatever, we got it out. So we pretty much have, I think the only thing that is not aluminum in here is that needle bearing, and then I never bothered to take out the neutral switch. So whatever. Okay, so I think I'm going to concentrate on lapping these after I weld, because I think once I weld this, you know, I might have some level of protrusion out of there. I'm really going to try not to mess with the profile at all on the mating surface with the other crankcase, but I'm just gonna do what I can do. Okay, so here I am. I've got my piece of glass. I decided to get some 220, which is kind of on the finer side based on how I've seen other people do this. But the reason I did that is because if I need to add some more grit, I actually do have some lapping compound that I use for valves. It's, you know, it'll work for this purpose easily. So if I need to go add some paste to do that, I can. So I've already got the, and I've had some spray adhesive, right? This is kind of already all ready to go. You can see I did have to cut it so that I could fill it out. So you can see that I had to do 2 sheets. This is 8.5 by 11. Overall, the piece of glass is 11 by 14. So I'm also on my granite countertop because, you know, if you're on a stone surface, it's likely to be better than like if I were to use this like butcher block, you know, surface that I have in my kitchen. That butcher block is likely to have a lot of imperfections and waves and stuff underneath it. So that's why I'm using this. I did take a razor blade and I scraped the granite countertop really well just to make sure that it's totally clean. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of water and make this wet, and I'll wet sand it, and then we'll start. Okay, so I just add a little bit of lapping compound here. We'll just kind of start. I want the focus to be over here where the welds are, you know, kind of the peaks. Yeah, it's working pretty good. It's gonna take a while, but it's working pretty good. I'm lifting up so that there's not a lot of pressure up on the front here, because I don't want to wear that down unnecessarily. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing this until I kind of get it. I mean, you can see it's already starting to smooth out quite a bit, so just want to make sure it's completely, it's mated perfectly with the other one. And once I get this one done, I'm going to bring the other half in here and do the same thing. All right, so, I mean, I'm getting close. So what I'm looking for is, you can kind of see, I feel like I had everything kind of nice and at least all the welds, you know, raised up above the marring surface, or the mating surface, or the marring surface, the mating surface that I wanted. So I'm close, but I can just tell that's not quite to the edge. So I think I'm going to keep going. And I did end up using some of this lapping compound. It actually works pretty good. The combination of having kind of a wet surface kind of helps pull away what you're sanding, you know, to get it away from the area so that you, the next pass, as I keep circling around, I just think it removes more material quicker. So I guess that's the point. All right, let's keep going. I've only been going out this for maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. One thing I do notice is now that I've got kind of that majority of that weld, you know, it's a lot closer to the rest of the mating surface. I noticed that it's gotten a lot quieter as I circle it around. So you can kind of tell there's less points of friction. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see it, or how well you can see it. But you can see, I actually like using the lapping compound because that mud, it kind of gives you an idea of how what your depth is. So see how you can see where all the weld is, the lighter part in the middle? Then when you kind of go to the outside, you can see where all that lapping compound is kind of gathered. That tells me those are those areas that are, or where the weld area is still too high. So I got to keep going, but I actually do like using the lapping compound. This helps out quite a bit. Okay, so this is where I'm at this point. I've lapped it really good, so I actually went through and added some more filler right here so that I could actually make sure that I had enough material here to actually make a seal. And then when I welded this very edge, it actually sucked in. It kind of created a little bit of an indent, so I had to add some more material. So, I mean, in all, I kind of had to lap this for a good, 40 minutes or so to kind of get this to where it is now. I also added some more material up here so that I had a good solid, surface here to put some gasket material, some RTV, because really oil would just leak down into the screw hole and then out the screw hole, and I'd have the same problem. So, not terribly, thrilled with how the welds look. I think I am going to have to cut. I added a lot of material just to really give this some strength, and then when I filled this in as a reminder because there was a crack in here, and I've since filled in this cavity too, but there was a crack in here that I just couldn't get all the way down in there. It was something like this, only at like 1/8 of the size. So I'm trying to use a 1-inch stick out, 1 inch and a quarter stick out on my MIG gun, and it just was really hard to do that. So I ended up just sealing around the outside. And then while I was grinding, I also nicked some of these edges, and so I had to kind of fix that. But all in all, everything, I should have a really good, mating surface. I've already done the other side. So I've already actually done this side. You can kind of see how it's a little bit, newly shiny. So again, I'm going to clean up these welds. I'll get some flat discs or something and flatten them out a little bit, but only as much as I have to. So I've got to figure out once I put the transmission gears back in, how much clearance I actually have. I also need to make sure it doesn't interfere with the flow and the flipping of oil in there to keep things lubricated. So I'll have to kind of pay attention to that as I'm reassembling this. So. Okay, so just to give you an idea of, how good this looks, there's some of the old RTV on here, so it's a little deceiving in terms of like how flush of a mating surface it actually is. But this is actually where all the welding and everything, all the work we just did. So I think that actually looks pretty good. Here you can barely see the line. And I think if I actually, move this around just a little bit, I don't think it's lined up exactly because I don't have any bolts in. See, I can just lift it up. But I think if I were to put the bolts in there and get everything lined up exactly, I think that'd look pretty good. But once I get the sealant in there, I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to have any leaking issues.